Long before the arrival of European settlers, the vast and diverse continent of North America was home to hundreds of distinct Native American nations. From the frozen reaches of the Arctic Circle to the sun-drenched southern plains, these indigenous peoples forged civilizations intricately connected to the land. Yet with the turning of each year came the arrival of winter, a season that presented not merely discomfort, but an existential crucible. Across this immense geography, winter manifested in myriad forms, each demanding unique and often brutal adaptations. In the Arctic tundra, perpetual darkness, relentless blizzards, and temperatures plummeting far below zero threatened life itself. The northern forests buried themselves under meters of snow, freezing waterways and making game scarce. The high plains became arenas for bitter, unceasing winds and sudden deadly blizzards that offered no shelter. And within the towering mountain ranges, isolation, avalanches, and sub-zero conditions could trap and overwhelm even the most prepared. For these communities, winter was an annual, life-or-death struggle against exposure, starvation, and the relentless grip of the elements. Yet despite these formidable challenges, Native American peoples did not merely endure, they survived, adapted, and indeed thrived. This documentary will journey across these diverse landscapes, exploring the profound ingenuity, deep environmental knowledge, and unwavering communal resilience that empowered indigenous nations to navigate and ultimately master the harshest seasons. We will uncover the meticulous strategies, innovative technologies, and intricate social structures that allowed countless generations to not just withstand the cold, but to transform winter into a period of community, storytelling, and sustained life. The North American winter, a formidable adversary. The arrival of winter across North America heralded a profound transformation of the landscape, ushering in a season of immense hardship and environmental extremes that varied dramatically by region. From the frigid northern reaches to the temperate southern zones, indigenous peoples faced a relentless array of challenges, demanding an unparalleled understanding of their environment and sophisticated adaptive strategies for survival. In the Arctic, winter was not merely a season, but an enduring existential state. Here, the sun might vanish for weeks, plunging the land into a persistent deep freeze where temperatures routinely plummeted to 50 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, or even lower. The vast ocean surfaces transformed into immense sheets of ice, rendering travel precarious and disrupting traditional hunting grounds. Reduced daylight hours, often replaced by prolonged darkness, compounded the psychological and practical difficulties, while the scarcity of accessible resources, be it game, fresh water, or fuel, presented a constant, life-threatening concern. Every breath was a challenge, every step a calculated risk against the unforgiving cold. Moving south to the vast, open stretches of the Great Plains, winter manifested as a brutal symphony of heavy snowfall and piercing, unyielding winds. Blizzards could rage for days, sweeping across the treeless expanse, piling snow into impassable drifts and reducing visibility to mere feet. The very air became a weapon, driving wind chill factors to dangerous lows, capable of causing frostbite in minutes. Frozen rivers and lakes cut off vital water sources, while the deep snow made tracking and hunting bison, a primary food source, an arduous and often fruitless endeavor. The exposed nature of the landscape offered little respite, making robust shelter and reliable food preservation techniques absolutely critical. Further west, within the rugged, forested mountains of the Pacific Northwest, winter's embrace was often characterized not by dry, crisp cold, but by a relentless onslaught of bone-chilling rain and sodden, heavy snow. This persistent dampness permeated everything, making it difficult to stay warm, dry clothing, or start fires. The sheer volume of snow in higher elevations could isolate communities for months, burying trails and making travel treacherous due to avalanches and slippery, icy conditions. Reduced daylight hours shortened the already limited time for foraging or preparing resources, while the constant moisture promoted hypothermia even at temperatures above freezing. The unique challenge here was not just the cold, but the pervasive wetness that amplified its effects, eroding warmth and energy. Across all these varied landscapes, the common thread was the relentless nature of these conditions. Winter was not a momentary inconvenience, but a sustained siege, threatening starvation, exposure, and exhaustion. The profound reduction in daylight hours curtailed activity, while the dramatic scarcity of easily accessible food and fuel resources forced communities to rely entirely on meticulous planning and storage from warmer months. These diverse, yet universally harsh environmental conditions underscored the absolute necessity for Native American communities to develop extraordinarily robust and ingenious adaptation strategies, without which survival would have been impossible. Deep roots, a history of adaptation. The remarkable resilience of Native American communities in the face of brutal winter conditions was not the product of sudden ingenuity, but rather the culmination of survival strategies meticulously honed over millennia. These deep-rooted adaptations represent an extraordinary testament to human persistence and systematic environmental understanding. Generations of careful observation, iterative experimentation, and deliberate cultural transmission collectively forged sophisticated systems of knowledge, transforming the formidable challenges of winter into predictable patterns of resource management and communal action. Oral traditions, serving as living encyclopedias, were paramount in this process. Elders, through storytelling, ceremony, and direct instruction, imparted crucial wisdom concerning intricate weather patterns, animal migration behaviors, the identification and use of medicinal plants, and the construction of thermally efficient shelters. This theoretical framework was inextricably linked with practical, hands-on experience, where younger generations learned by doing, often under the watchful guidance of seasoned practitioners. Communal learning further solidified these methods. Collective problem-solving and shared experiences continuously refined techniques for hunting, food preservation, clothing production, and thermal management within the community. This profound, inherited knowledge formed the bedrock of their winter resilience. It allowed communities not merely to react to winter's onset, but to anticipate its arrival with precision, to prepare comprehensively by stockpiling resources and fortifying dwellings, and to effectively mitigate its dangers through established protocols and adaptive technologies. Far from mere survival, these practices embodied an enduring cultural wisdom, a symbiotic relationship with the land and its cycles that ensured the continuity and flourishing of their societies through countless icy seasons. The first line of defense, indigenous architecture against the formidable adversary of winter, the very cornerstone of Native American survival, was the dwelling itself. Far from being rudimentary constructions, these shelters were meticulously engineered environments, serving as the primary line of defense against biting winds, relentless snow, and plummeting temperatures. Their design principles were fundamental, yet profoundly sophisticated. Paramount among them were insulation, wind resistance, heat retention, and an ingenious adaptability to local materials. Insulation, often achieved through layers of packed earth, strategically placed hides, woven mats, or even snow, minimized thermal transfer, trapping precious warmth within. Wind resistance was integral to every structural frame, with shapes often optimized to deflect gusts, or dwellings strategically oriented and partially excavated to leverage natural topography. Heat retention was a complex interplay of thermal mass, efficient smoke ventilation systems that preserved warmth and minimized openings to the exterior. Crucially, every design was intrinsically linked to its immediate environment, utilizing an incredible array of readily available resources: timber, stone, earth, reeds, bark, and animal skins, with unparalleled ingenuity. This led to an incredible diversity of architectural responses across the continent, from the permanent semi-subterranean earth lodges of the Great Plains, built to withstand blizzards and offer year-round stability, to the ingeniously portable conical tipis of nomadic hunters, designed for rapid assembly, disassembly, and efficient heating. Each structure was a testament to specialized engineering. The longhouses of the Northeast, the plank houses of the Pacific Northwest, or the adobe pueblos of the Southwest, all represent distinct solutions, meticulously crafted for specific climates, available resources, and communal lifestyles. This vast array of shelters underscores not merely a practical response to environmental challenges, but a profound and intuitive understanding of physics, material science, and the intricate relationship between human habitation and the natural world. It is within these diverse, expertly fashioned spaces that we find the true genius of Native American winter survival strategies. Insulation and ingenuity, materials and techniques. The ingenious survival of Native Americans through brutal winters was underpinned by a profound, empirically derived understanding of insulation and structural engineering. Their shelters were not merely roofs overhead, but meticulously crafted thermal envelopes designed to trap warmth and repel the biting cold. A diverse array of natural materials, each possessing unique insulating properties, formed the bedrock of these resilient structures. Earth and sod, for instance, were fundamental to many groups, particularly those on the Great Plains like the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara, who constructed impressive earth lodges. These materials offered exceptional thermal mass. Sod was typically cut in thick, interlocking blocks, laid over a robust timber framework, often in multiple layers. The dense earth, sometimes packed several feet thick, would absorb heat from internal fires during the day and slowly release it throughout the colder night, maintaining a remarkably stable interior temperature. Animal hides, primarily from bison, deer, elk, and bear, were painstakingly processed, scraped, tanned, and often smoked to render them pliable, durable, and water-resistant. In structures like the Plains teepee or the northeastern wigwam, multiple hides were sewn together to form a covering. Crucially, these hides were often applied in layers, creating vital air pockets that acted as an insulating buffer, effectively slowing heat transfer. The natural hair on some hides, when left intact, further enhanced this insulating capacity by trapping air. Bark, particularly from birch, elm, or cedar, was a versatile and readily available material for many woodland and Pacific Northwest tribes. Stripped in large sheets during the spring when sap was running, it was flattened, dried, and often overlappingly applied to frameworks of poles. Birch bark, with its natural oils, offered excellent waterproofing, while its layered application, sometimes reinforced with moss or clay chinking in cracks, provided significant thermal resistance. Longhouses of the Iroquois, for example, were communal dwellings clad in bark shingles, featuring multiple layers for superior insulation. Even snow itself was masterfully employed. Arctic peoples like the Inuit constructed igloos from precisely cut and stacked blocks of packed snow. Far from being cold, packed snow contains millions of tiny air pockets, making it an excellent insulator. The dome shape, often reinforced with an interior layer of ice, allowed for efficient heat retention with a single oil lamp or body heat, often sufficient to maintain comfortable living temperatures inside, relative to the extreme exterior cold. Moss and dried grasses were frequently utilized as chinking and infill materials. Harvested and dried, these fibrous plants were packed into gaps between logs, bark sheets, or hide coverings. Their intricate structures created a dense network of small air pockets, preventing drafts and further enhancing the overall thermal efficiency of the shelter. Beyond material selection, construction techniques were equally sophisticated. Double walling was a common strategy, particularly in earth lodges, where an inner wall of timber and a packed earth core were separated from an outer layer of sod, creating an insulating air gap. Layering of materials, as seen with hides on teepees or bark on wigwams, served the same principle, trapping air to impede heat loss. Strategic placement of ventilation, often in the form of adjustable smoke holes at the apex of conical structures, or vents in more permanent dwellings, allowed for the removal of smoke while minimizing heat escape. These openings could be closed or partially opened depending on wind direction and internal temperature requirements, demonstrating a practical understanding of convective currents. Central hearths were integral to almost all winter shelters, providing the primary heat source. Their placement, typically in the center of the living space, maximized heat distribution. The materials surrounding the hearth, whether earth, stone, or packed clay, absorbed and radiated heat, functioning as a form of thermal battery. The diverse shelters, from the subterranean warmth of the semi-subterranean pit houses of the southwest, utilizing Earth's consistent temperature, to the layered bark longhouses of the northeast, or the snow igloos of the Arctic, each represented a creative and scientifically sound response to localized challenges and available resources. These constructions implicitly demonstrated a profound understanding of thermodynamics, material science, and environmental adaptation, a knowledge passed down through generations, ensuring survival against nature's most formidable tests. Just the igloo, Arctic marvel of snow and ice, among the most iconic and ingeniously adapted structures for extreme cold, is the Inuit igloo, a true testament to indigenous engineering. Far from a primitive dwelling, the igloo is a sophisticated, thermally efficient masterpiece, meticulously designed for the unforgiving Arctic environment. Its construction begins with the careful selection of dense, wind-packed snow, ideal for cutting into precise, rectangular blocks. Utilizing specialized snow knives, skilled builders carve these blocks, which are then stacked in a continuous, upward spiraling fashion. Each successive block leans slightly inward, expertly trimmed to ensure a snug fit. This spiral method culminates in a self-supporting dome, a shape celebrated for its inherent structural integrity. The dome distributes weight evenly, creating an incredibly strong shell capable of withstanding immense wind forces and snow loads. A marvel of an arch constructed without any external supports. The igloo's remarkable thermal properties are rooted in the physics of snow itself. Snow, particularly the type used for construction, is comprised of countless ice crystals interspersed with trapped air pockets. This trapped air is a profoundly poor conductor of heat, making snow an exceptional insulator. This insulating layer works in two critical ways. It significantly reduces heat loss from the interior and simultaneously prevents the brutal external cold from penetrating inward. This passive thermal barrier allows for a dramatic difference between interior and exterior temperatures. While outside temperatures might plummet to 50 degrees Celsius, inside an igloo, the combined effect of human body heat, often from multiple occupants, and the warmth generated by a kolik, a traditional soapstone lamp burning seal oil, can raise the internal temperature to a comfortable 0 degrees Celsius, and often considerably higher, even reaching 10 degrees Celsius, creating a habitable microclimate. Beyond its insulating walls, the igloo's efficiency is amplified by several ingenious design features. The most distinctive is the cold trap entrance tunnel. This low, often winding passage serves a crucial thermodynamic purpose. Cold air, being denser, naturally sinks and collects in this lower tunnel, forming a barrier that prevents warmer, lighter air from escaping the main living space and simultaneously blocking frigid external air from directly entering. Inside, raised sleeping platforms are strategically positioned higher than the floor level. Since warm air rises, these platforms place occupants within the warmest layer of air, maximizing comfort. Furthermore, a small, carefully crafted ventilation hole at the apex of the dome allows for controlled air exchange, preventing the buildup of carbon monoxide from the kolik while minimizing heat loss. The igloo, therefore, is not merely a shelter, but a dynamic, self-regulating system, a pinnacle of indigenous engineering precisely calibrated for sustained survival in the most extreme cold. Longhouses and wigwams. Northeastern warmth. The northeastern woodlands peoples developed ingenious architectural solutions to withstand the brutal winter months, transforming the dense forests into havens of warmth and community. Among the most iconic of these structures was the Iroquois Longhouse, a marvel of communal engineering. Constructed from a robust timber frame, typically fashioned from sturdy poles, bent into an arched tunnel-like roof, these dwellings were then clad with overlapping sheets of elm or cedar bark, secured with lashing. Inside, the longhouse was an elongated, communal space, often extending over 100 feet, sometimes even longer. Along its central axis, multiple hearths were strategically placed, each serving several families who occupied adjacent compartments or platforms. These fires not only provided essential heat, but also served as focal points for daily life, their smoke rising through vents in the roof. The very design of the longhouse, with its extensive shared interior, inherently facilitated social cohesion and critical resource sharing during the leanest winter months, ensuring that no single family faced the cold in isolation. Contrasting with the grand scale of the longhouse were the various forms of wigwams, characteristic of many Algonquian-speaking peoples, among others. These versatile structures adopted either a dome or conical shape, their frameworks meticulously crafted from slender, flexible saplings bent and tied together to form a resilient skeleton. The coverings for wigwams varied significantly based on local resources and specific tribal practices. They could be layered with sheets of bark, especially birch or cedar, woven reed mats, or animal hides, particularly in regions where game was plentiful. To enhance insulation, these coverings were often layered, and the ground inside might be covered with furs or woven mats. A central fire pit provided heat, with a smoke hole at the apex or ceiling allowing for ventilation, while smaller and often more easily constructed or relocated than longhouses, wigwams were no less effective in providing warm communal winter homes. Their adaptable design, utilizing readily available forest materials, underscored a profound understanding of their environment, ensuring that even in the harshest conditions, shelter remained a sanctuary of warmth and collective survival. Earth lodges, plains and plateau resilience. For sedentary agricultural tribes of the Great Plains, such as the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara, and indeed some plateau peoples, survival through the harsh winter months hinged on ingeniously designed permanent structures known as earth lodges. These semi-subterranean dwellings were masterworks of indigenous engineering, specifically crafted to withstand the biting winds and extreme cold of the northern winters. Construction began with a substantial timber frame, often featuring robust, central posts that bore the primary load, supporting a complex network of rafters. This sturdy skeleton was then meticulously covered with layers of brush and packed earth, followed by thick sections of sod cut from the prairie. These layers, sometimes several feet deep, created an incredibly dense and effective insulating envelope, shielding inhabitants from the elements. Internally, the earth lodge was a model of functional design. At its heart was a central fire pit, strategically positioned to provide warmth and light, with a smoke hole at the apex of the domed roof allowing for ventilation. Surrounding this, communal hearths were designated sleeping areas, often arranged on raised platforms or along the perimeter, providing a degree of privacy and warmth. Crucially, storage pits were excavated directly into the earth floor beneath, offering cool, stable conditions for preserving dried foods and seeds, a vital resource during the lean winter months. The thick earth walls and partially subterranean design meant that once heated by the central fire, the lodges maintained remarkably stable internal temperatures, offering a consistent refuge from the outside world. These permanent communal residences were not just shelters. They were resilient bastions against winter's fury, embodying the sophisticated architectural knowledge and collective spirit of the communities that built them. Pit houses and hogan, subterranean sanctuaries, among the most profound examples of indigenous ingenuity in confronting winter's chill, were the semi-subterranean dwellings, pit houses and hogans. These ingenious structures, prevalent across regions such as the Great Basin, the Plateau, and parts of the American Southwest, represent a sophisticated understanding of environmental physics and sustainable living. Pit houses exemplify this architectural wisdom. Their construction began with the excavation of a shallow to deep pit, typically several feet into the earth. Over this excavated depression, a robust roof structure was erected, often conical or rectangular in form, crafted from timber and brush. This framework was then meticulously covered with layers of earth and sod, creating a durable and highly effective thermal envelope. The genius of this design lay in the earth itself. The surrounding soil acted as a natural insulator, shielding the interior from biting winds and extreme external temperatures. Furthermore, the substantial mass of earth provided significant thermal inertia, absorbing solar heat during the day and slowly radiating it back into the dwelling throughout the colder nights. This passive heating system maintained a remarkably stable and warmer internal environment compared to surface structures, offering crucial respite from the elements. The Navajo hogan stands as another testament to this architectural mastery, imbued with profound spiritual significance alongside its practical thermal efficiency. Traditionally, hogans were constructed in either a circular or hexagonal shape, utilizing interlocking logs, often pinyon or juniper, packed with mud and earth. The distinctive forked stick hogan, an earlier form, featured 5 main posts forming a conical structure, while later, cribbed log hogans used horizontally stacked logs. Beyond their structural integrity, hogans are sacred spaces, their orientation and design reflecting Navajo cosmology and spiritual principles, connecting inhabitants to the earth and sky. Yet their practical design was equally vital for survival. The dense earth and log construction provided exceptional insulation, trapping warmth generated by an internal fire. and consistently mitigating the harsh temperature fluctuations of the high desert nights. Both pit houses and hogans, through their semi-subterranean design, demonstrate a profound understanding of passive heating and insulation. They transformed the challenging environment into a source of stability, providing consistent warmth and shelter during the coldest months, a critical factor in the enduring resilience of Native American communities. Teepee adaptations, mobility and warmth on the plains. While often associated with the warmer months and verdant plains, the teepee, a marvel of indigenous engineering, proved equally indispensable as a winter dwelling for nomadic plains tribes. Far from a seasonal structure, it was meticulously adapted to withstand the brutal cold, serving as a testament to sophisticated design and communal ingenuity. Crucial to its cold weather efficacy was the dew cloth, or inner lining. This interior hide or canvas, extending from the ground to several feet up the poles, created an essential air gap between the inner and outer layers. Much like modern double-pane windows, this air pocket acted as a powerful insulator, trapping warmth generated inside and preventing cold air from penetrating. The exterior, crafted from heavier, thicker buffalo hides during the winter months, offered superior protection against biting winds and snow, creating a robust, multi-layered barrier against the elements. The very conical shape of the teepee was a stroke of genius for thermal regulation. It naturally directed smoke upward, where it could escape through the adjustable smoke flaps at the apex. These flaps, manipulated by long poles, allowed occupants to precisely control ventilation and draft, ensuring efficient smoke removal while minimizing heat loss. Fire management within the teepee was a finely honed skill. Small, carefully tended fires, often using slow-burning buffalo dung or seasoned wood, provided consistent heat without excessive smoke. The low burning point of these fires, combined with the teepee's design, meant that warmth radiated throughout the living space. Beyond its insulating properties, the teepee's fundamental portability remained paramount, even in the depths of winter. Its ability to be dismantled and re-erected with relative speed was not merely a convenience, but a necessity for plains tribes who relied on following migrating bison herds, their primary food source across snow-covered landscapes. This mobility, combined with its advanced thermal design, made the teepee a surprisingly effective and enduring cold weather shelter. The construction and maintenance of a winter teepee were inherently communal endeavors, reflecting the deep interdependency of plains societies. From tanning the hides to cutting and erecting the poles, and meticulously adjusting the liners and flaps, every stage involved collective effort, ensuring each family had a secure and warm refuge against the unforgiving winter. Crafting warmth. The art of winter attire. Beyond the shelter of their expertly constructed dwellings, a second critical layer of defense against the biting cold was the ingenious clothing crafted by Native American peoples. Far from being mere utilitarian coverings, these garments were often vibrant expressions of cultural identity, adorned with intricate beadwork, quillwork, and symbolic designs. Yet, their primary purpose during the harsh winter months was unequivocally survival. The effectiveness of this indigenous attire lay in a sophisticated understanding of fundamental cold weather principles, meticulously applied through generations of accumulated knowledge. Central among these was insulation. Animal furs, such as those from bison, bear, beaver, and rabbit, were expertly processed to retain their natural loft and trap layers of warm air close to the body. Multiple layers of buckskin, tanned hides, or woven plant fibers further augmented this thermal barrier, creating crucial air pockets that prevented heat loss. Equally vital was protection against wind. Tightly woven hides, often rendered supple through meticulous tanning processes, provided an impenetrable shield against icy gusts, preventing convective heat loss. Overlays of fur or capes could be strategically added for additional windbreaking capabilities. Moisture management, a critical yet often overlooked aspect of cold weather survival, was also incorporated into garment design. While some materials, like certain furs, offered natural water resistance, clothing was also crafted to allow perspiration to escape, preventing the dangerous chilling effect of dampness against the skin. Meticulous design ensured snow and ice did not readily accumulate or melt directly onto the wearer. Finally, durability was paramount. Clothing had to withstand the rigors of daily life. Arduous hunting expeditions, and extensive travel in extreme conditions, requiring robust construction and carefully chosen materials that would not easily tear or degrade. This remarkable efficacy was a testament to the profound knowledge Native Americans possessed regarding the properties of local flora and fauna. Every fiber, every hide, every sinew was understood for its unique strengths and weaknesses, coupled with highly refined textile arts, from intricate tanning and sewing techniques to advanced weaving. They engineered garments perfectly tailored not just to the general winter climate, but to the specific environmental nuances of their region and the demanding activities, whether stationary lodge life or strenuous hunting expeditions. This fusion of artistry and practicality ensured their endurance through the most unforgiving seasons. Materials of survival, hides, furs, and fibers. At the heart of Native American winter survival lay an unparalleled understanding and utilization of natural resources, particularly in crafting protective clothing. Central to this ingenious attire were the hides of large game animals: deer, elk, moose, caribou, and bison. These robust skins, once expertly processed, offered exceptional insulation, creating a formidable barrier against the biting cold. The transformation of raw hide into pliable, durable leather was a laborious, multi-stage process. It began with meticulous scraping to remove flesh and hair, followed by tanning, often using brain matter, animal fats, or plant-based solutions, which chemically altered the hide, preventing putrefaction and increasing flexibility. Repeated softening through stretching, chewing, or working over a smoothed log ensured the finished material was supple enough for comfortable wear, yet resilient against the harsh elements. From these meticulously prepared hides came an array of garments: leggings, tunics, moccasins, and robes, each designed to maximize warmth and mobility. Layered over or integrated with hide garments were the luxurious, deeply insulating furs of animals like beaver, rabbit, fox, wolf, and bear. The dense underfur of these animals trapped a vital layer of warm air close to the body, providing unparalleled thermal protection. Rabbit fur, for instance, was often cut into strips and meticulously woven into incredibly soft, warm robes, particularly in regions like the Great Basin, where larger hides were less abundant. In the extreme Arctic environments, where large mammals could be scarce at certain times, ingenuity extended to the use of bird skins. Peoples like the Inuit utilized the dense, waterproof skins of loons and ducks, often with feathers intact, to create remarkably warm and wind-resistant parkas and garments, leveraging nature's own insulation and natural oils. While animal products predominated, certain regions saw the innovative use of plant fibers. On the northwest coast, the inner bark of cedar trees was expertly processed, softened, and woven into intricate textiles, including capes and blankets. These cedar bark garments, while perhaps not offering the same extreme thermal value as thick furs, provided significant warmth, excellent breathability, and water repellency, crucial in their damp coastal environment. Crucially, the acquisition of all these materials was governed by profound principles of sustainability and respect. Hunting and harvesting were not indiscriminate acts, but sacred practices, deeply intertwined with spiritual beliefs and a thorough understanding of ecological balance. Every part of the animal was utilized, minimizing waste, and ensuring the continued health of the natural world, a testament to a harmonious relationship with their environment. Layering and design, maximizing thermal efficiency. The mastery of winter survival among Native American communities was profoundly evident in their meticulously crafted clothing, a sophisticated system designed not merely for covering, but for rigorous thermoregulation. At its core lay the principle of layering, a concept remarkably similar to modern technical apparel. Multiple layers of diverse materials, often animal hides, furs, and sometimes plant fibers, were strategically combined to create air pockets. These trapped air layers acted as highly effective insulators, dramatically slowing heat loss from the body. This multi-layered approach also afforded crucial flexibility, allowing individuals to shed or add garments to regulate their body temperature, preventing both dangerous hypothermia and debilitating overheating during strenuous activities. Consider the construction of garments such as the parka, a quintessential piece, particularly among Arctic and subarctic peoples. These were often double-layered, an inner layer with fur facing inward for maximum warmth, and an outer layer with fur facing outward or made of treated hide like sealskin for protection against wind and moisture. Materials like caribou hide, renowned for its hollow hairs that provided exceptional insulation, beaver and seal skin were selected for their specific thermal and weather-resistant properties. Beneath these outer shells, inner shirts and leggings of softer hides or woven materials provided a comfortable, breathable base. For periods of extreme cold or stationary activity, large robes fashioned from bison, bear, or wolf fur offered unparalleled warmth, often worn draped over other layers. The design principles extended to every detail, ensuring minimal heat loss. Parkas frequently featured integrated hoods, often trimmed with wolverine or wolf fur, to create a protective ruff that shielded the face from biting winds, preventing frostbite without obstructing vision. Sleeves were often designed with attached mittens or integrated gauntlets, ensuring the wrists and hands remained covered and warm. Snug closures, drawstrings, ties, or carefully constructed overlaps were employed at the wrists, ankles, and waistlines to seal out drafts, creating an enclosed microclimate around the body. Footwear, such as mukluks in the Arctic, incorporated multiple layers of fur and hide, often with insulating grass or moss inserts. Native artisans demonstrated a profound understanding of both thermoregulation and biomechanics. Garments were cut and sewn with precision, allowing for a full range of movement essential for hunting, trapping, gathering, and daily tasks, without exposing skin to the elements. This balance between freedom of movement and complete coverage was critical. For instance, the tailored fit of leggings and shirts, combined with the strategic cut of parkas, ensured warmth without bulk or restriction. Regional variations further highlight this adaptability. The double-layered caribou parkas, Attic look, of the Inuit, perfectly adapted to extreme Arctic cold, contrasted with the bison robes and buckskin leggings of the plains peoples, designed for colder but less perpetually frigid environments. Even the rabbit fur robes of the Great Basin, or the deer hide and occasional woven plant fiber garments of the Northeast, reflected a deep, intuitive knowledge of available resources and local climatic demands, all aimed at enduring the harshest winters. Footwear and accessories, protecting extremities. The human body's most vulnerable points in extreme cold are often its extremities, hands, feet, and head, where blood flow can be restricted to preserve core temperature, thus increasing the risk of frostbite. Native American communities, with their profound understanding of the natural world, developed ingenious solutions to safeguard these crucial areas. Footwear, for instance, was not merely protective, but a meticulously engineered system of insulation. Moccasins, crafted from tanned hides such as deer, elk, or moose, often featured multiple layers. The outer layer provided durability and a barrier against snow, while inner layers, sometimes lined with rabbit or beaver fur, offered superior warmth. For more extreme Arctic conditions, specialized footwear like mukluks, originating from Inuit traditions, combined sealskin or caribou hide for the uppers with waterproof soles, frequently incorporating fur or grass insoles to create an insulating air pocket and wick away moisture. The design consistently prioritized warmth and dryness, essential for preventing debilitating frostbite and maintaining mobility across vast frozen landscapes. This thermal integrity extended beyond the feet. Leggings, often made from hide or woven wool, served a critical function, not just as leg coverings, but as a vital bridge, sealing the gap between footwear and upper garments. This continuous barrier prevented snow ingress and minimized heat loss, ensuring a comprehensive insulating envelope for the lower body. Equally vital were accessories for the hands, head, and neck. Mittens, preferred over gloves for their ability to keep fingers together and thus warmer, were crafted from thick furs like beaver or wolf, or multiple layers of buckskin, often lined with softer furs or plant fibers. Hats and hoods, fashioned from animal pelts such as fox, lynx, or wolverine, provided unparalleled protection for the head and ears, areas particularly susceptible to rapid heat loss. Many designs incorporated ear flaps or extended down the neck to maximize coverage. Scarves or neck wraps, woven from plant fibers or fashioned from strips of fur, completed this protective ensemble, shielding the neck and face from biting winds and driving snow. The overarching principle in the design and construction of all these items was an unwavering attention to detail, a sophisticated understanding of material properties, and a holistic approach to preventing the insidious drain of body heat from every exposed surface. Regional styles clothing as cultural expression, while the primary function of winter clothing for Native American peoples was undeniably survival against the biting cold. These garments transcended mere utility, serving as profound canvases for cultural expression, identity, and spiritual meaning. Far from being simple coverings, they were intricate narratives woven into existence, testaments to both practical ingenuity and artistic prowess. Across the vast and diverse landscapes of North America, distinct regional styles emerged, each reflecting the unique environment, available resources, and cultural nuances of the inhabitants. In the plains, for instance, buffalo robes and deer or elk hide garments were not only essential for warmth, but were often adorned with exquisite porcupine quill work, intricate beadwork, and painted designs. Quill work, a laborious art form involving softening, flattening, and dyeing porcupine quills before stitching them onto hide, created geometric patterns or pictorial representations of visions, deeds, or calendrical events. Later, the introduction of glass beads enabled even more elaborate designs, with patterns and colors often signifying tribal affiliation, social status, or individual achievements. A warrior's painted robe might depict his battles or spiritual guardians, imbuing the garment with protective power and personal history. Further north, among the indigenous peoples of the subarctic and Arctic, such as the Dene or Inuit, caribou and sealskin parkas and leggings were crafted with unparalleled precision to withstand extreme temperatures. While functionality was paramount, aesthetics were still integral. Contrasting fur trims, precisely cut geometric inlays, and the expert arrangement of materials transformed these essential items into objects of beauty. The very act of meticulously preparing and stitching hides was an art form in itself, reflecting a deep respect for the animal and a spiritual connection to the natural world. In the eastern woodlands, garments crafted from deer hide and furs featured different artistic traditions. Here, intricate floral and curvilinear beadwork, often in vibrant colors, adorned tunics, leggings, and moccasins. Groups like the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee utilized moose hair embroidery and delicate shell beads, creating patterns that mirrored the rich flora and fauna of their forest homes, reflecting a profound spiritual reverence for the land and its abundance. These patterns were not merely decorative, they often carried symbolic meanings, connecting the wearer to creation stories, clan lineages, or spiritual protectors. Beyond their aesthetic appeal, the materials and embellishments on winter clothing communicated vital information. The quality of the hides, the complexity of the beadwork or quill work, and the presence of rare materials could indicate a wearer's wealth, skill, or social standing within the community. Specific motifs and designs served as visual markers of tribal identity, distinguishing one group from another. Moreover, many designs held spiritual significance, acting as prayers, protective talismans, or visual representations of an individual's spiritual journey and connection to the unseen world. Thus, these garments were not merely functional shields against the cold. They were living expressions of identity, social structure, and spiritual belief, demonstrating that even in the harshest environments, the human spirit's capacity for beauty and cultural depth remained undiminished. The lifeblood of winter, mastery of firewile, robust shelters and meticulously crafted clothing formed the primary defense against the unforgiving chill of winter. Another element proved equally, if not more, indispensable: fire. More than just a source of warmth, fire was a nexus of survival, illuminating the long, dark nights and serving as the hearth around which daily life revolved. Its multifaceted utility was unparalleled. It transformed raw sustenance into nourishing meals, dried damp clothing and provisions, and was critical in the crafting and hardening of tools and weapons, essential for hunting and defense in challenging conditions. Yet fire's significance extended far beyond mere utility. For countless Native American nations, fire held profound spiritual and cultural meaning. It was often seen as a living entity, a sacred gift from the Creator, embodying purification, renewal, and connection to ancestral spirits. Council fires were central to communal gatherings, storytelling, and ceremonial rites, symbolizing unity, wisdom, and the enduring spirit of the people. Their flickering flames a silent witness to generations of tradition. To harness this vital force in the face of sub-zero temperatures and scarce resources demanded an extraordinary depth of knowledge and skill. the ability to not only ignite a flame in a snow-covered landscape, but to nurture, sustain, and manage it efficiently throughout long, brutal winters was a testament to generations of accumulated wisdom. This segment will delve into the intricate methods employed by Native Americans to create, maintain, and utilize fire, revealing the sophisticated techniques that made it the unwavering heart of winter survival and underscored the profound ingenuity required to master the elements. Ignition techniques, from friction to flint for indigenous peoples across North America, the mastery of fire was not merely a convenience, but a cornerstone of survival, particularly against the biting cold of winter. The ability to reliably generate warmth, cook food, and dry clothing, often under challenging conditions, demanded profound skill, patience, and an intimate knowledge of the natural world. Central to this was the array of friction-based fire-starting methods. The offhand drill stands as one of the most ancient and widespread techniques. It involved rapidly rotating a spindle, typically a straight stick of medium-hard wood like cedar or juniper, between the palms. This spindle was pressed into a small divot on a hearthboard, a flat piece of softer wood such as cottonwood, willow, or aspen. The friction generated by the spinning motion would grind wood dust from the hearthboard, accumulating in a small notch cut into the side. As friction intensified, this dust would char, eventually forming a glowing ember. The success of this method hinged on maintaining consistent downward pressure and rapid rotation, a testament to physical endurance and precise technique. An advancement offering greater efficiency was the habow drill. Here, a flexible bow, strung with a leather thong or rawhide, was used to wrap around the spindle. One hand held a bearing block, often a stone or a piece of hardwood, to apply downward pressure on the top of the spindle, while the other manipulated the bow back and forth. This allowed for sustained high-speed rotation with less physical strain, making it a more reliable method, especially when hands were cold or fatigued. The careful selection of wood for both spindle and hearthboard remained paramount. A harder spindle against a softer hearthboard was generally preferred to maximize dust production and minimize glazing. Another ingenious method, particularly prevalent in some regions like the Pacific Northwest, was the maha fire plow. This involved vigorously rubbing the tip of a plow stick, typically a piece of harder wood, along a groove carved into a softer hearthboard. The friction created would push a pile of fine wood dust ahead of the plow, which, with sustained effort, would eventually ignite into an ember. Each of these friction methods underscored the critical importance of a stable platform, consistent pressure, and the correct pairing of wood densities to achieve the necessary heat. Crucial to transitioning a nascent ember into a viable flame was tinder. Native Americans meticulously collected and prepared a variety of highly combustible materials. Finely shredded cedar bark, dried grasses, cattail fluff, and certain types of fungus like chaga or punk wood, rotted wood, were all prized for their ability to catch a spark or ember. This tinder was often processed by pounding, shredding, and fluffing until it formed a loose, airy mass, ideal for oxygen flow. Keeping this tinder absolutely dry was paramount, especially in damp or snowy conditions. It was often stored in waterproof containers made from bark or animal bladders, or carried close to the body to prevent moisture absorption. While friction methods were primary, some regions also utilized the striker-light methods. Where geological resources permitted, striking a piece of iron pyrite or marcasite against a sharp-edged flint could generate sparks. These sparks were then carefully directed onto a prepared tinder bundle, typically one containing char cloth or specific types of fungus that readily caught and held a spark. This technique, though requiring specific materials, offered an alternative means of ignition, ultimately generating fire, especially in the harsh realities of a freezing winter, was a profound act of knowledge and perseverance. It required not only an understanding of the mechanics of friction or striking, but also an encyclopedic knowledge of local flora for wood and tinder, the ability to read the environment, and the unwavering patience to coax an ember into life. This skill, passed down through generations, was a non-negotiable aspect of survival, providing not just warmth but light, safety, and the means to sustain life in the most unforgiving landscapes. Fuel management. Sustaining the flame amidst the relentless grip of winter, fire was not merely a comfort. It was the very pulse of survival. the sophisticated practice of fuel management was paramount, a testament to the profound ecological knowledge held by Native American communities. Long before the first frost, extensive preparations were undertaken to secure a constant supply of firewood, a critical resource that dictated warmth, cooking, and the very viability of shelter. Indigenous peoples possessed an intimate, encyclopedic understanding of their arboreal surroundings, discerning which types of wood burned most efficiently, produced the most heat, and created the least smoke. Dense hardwoods like oak, hickory, and maple were highly prized for their slow, sustained burn and intense heat, ideal for keeping dwellings warm through long, frigid nights. Conversely, lighter woods such as cedar or pine, while producing more smoke, were valued for their quick ignition and intense flame, perfect for starting fires or for rapid cooking. Crucially, the moisture content and resinous qualities of wood were meticulously observed. Green wood, laden with sap, burned poorly and created excessive acrid smoke, a dangerous proposition in enclosed spaces. The process of collection was a communal and strategic undertaking. Major expeditions would often commence in late summer or early autumn, focusing primarily on harvesting deadfall, fallen trees and branches that were already naturally dried, thereby minimizing the need to fell live trees and promoting forest health. Even as snow blanketed the land, ingenious methods ensured a continuous supply. Communities would seek out standing dead trees, known as snags, whose wood remained relatively dry even in winter. Lower, dead branches, often protected from heavy snow by the tree's canopy, were also collected. Tools ranging from stone axes to later metal implements were employed to break down and process larger logs into manageable lengths, which were then split to aid in drying and improve burning efficiency. Damp wood, an inevitable challenge in snowy conditions, was carefully managed. Smaller quantities were routinely brought inside dwellings to dry near the hearth, ensuring a ready supply of truly dry fuel. Larger reserves were stacked in meticulously designed outdoor wood piles. These piles were often elevated on rocks or smaller logs to prevent moisture wicking from the ground, and were strategically placed to allow maximum air circulation for drying. They were frequently covered with bark, hides, or woven mats to protect them from snow and rain, ensuring that even in the harshest blizzards, a protected cache of fuel was available. The placement of these communal woodpiles was also critical, balancing accessibility during deep snow with sufficient distance from dwellings to mitigate fire risk, while also considering prevailing winds. This vital practice was rarely an individual endeavor. It embodied the collective spirit of the community. Gathering firewood was often a shared responsibility, with family units or designated groups working together to ensure that every household, particularly the elderly or infirm, had an adequate supply. Yet this intense reliance on wood was tempered by profound respect and sustainable practices. The prioritization of deadfall, selective harvesting that avoided clear-cutting, and an understanding of forest regeneration cycles were integral to their approach. This careful stewardship ensured the long-term availability of this vital resource, balancing immediate survival needs with an unwavering commitment to ecological preservation for future generations. Heating and cooking. Fire's multifaceted role. Beyond its immediate comfort, fire served as an indispensable technological cornerstone for Native American communities, transforming raw materials and ensuring sustenance during the harshest months. Its applications extended far beyond mere warmth, fundamentally shaping daily life and bolstering resilience against the unforgiving cold. Central to winter survival was the preparation of food. Fire provided the means to cook, making otherwise indigestible or unpalatable foods safe and nourishing. Roasting over an open flame or coals, boiling with superheated stones dropped into water-filled baskets or hide-lined pits, and elaborate pit cooking methods, where food was slow-cooked in earthen ovens, all broke down tough fibers, released nutrients, and eliminated pathogens. Crucially, fire also made water potable. Sterilizing water by boiling was a vital practice, reducing the risk of waterborne illnesses in a season when clean. Unfrozen water sources could be scarce and contaminated. From nourishment, fire's utility extended to the crucial task of preservation. Drying meat and fish over low heat and smoke was an essential winter preparation. This process removed moisture, inhibiting bacterial growth and allowing food to be stored for extended periods, providing a critical buffer against lean times. When hunting and foraging became difficult or impossible, strips of venison, bison, or salmon, carefully tended over a smoldering fire, transformed into durable, nutrient-dense provisions that could sustain families through months of scarcity. Furthermore, fire played an integral role in tool-making and maintenance. Wooden spear tips and digging sticks were hardened by charring them in a fire, making them more durable and effective. Heat was meticulously applied to bend wood for snowshoe frames, bow staves, or structural components for shelters, allowing for precise shaping that would be impossible otherwise. Even the arduous process of softening animal hides for clothing, shelter coverings, and containers was aided by fire, which helped to break down fibers, making the material more pliable and workable. Thus, fire was not merely an element to endure the cold, but a dynamic force that facilitated numerous daily activities, turning raw nature into the essential tools and provisions required for winter survival and comfort. The quest for sustenance. Winter food strategies for indigenous peoples across North America. The onset of winter heralded a profound shift in the rhythms of life, transforming the very act of sustenance into an immense and formidable challenge. The vibrant ecosystems that yielded abundant provisions during warmer months became unforgiving landscapes, demanding an extraordinary level of ingenuity to secure vital resources. Winter was, unequivocally, a season of scarcity, where the margin for error narrowed considerably, making survival contingent upon deep foresight, meticulous planning, and highly specialized skills honed over millennia. The generous bounty of summer, characterized by prolific foraging opportunities for wild plants, berries, and easily accessible game, gave way to a stark reality. Communities transitioned from this period of relative abundance to a calculated reliance on carefully stored provisions, a testament to foresight, supplemented by the often perilous and demanding pursuit of game and fish in frozen or snow-laden environments. This strategic pivot required an intimate understanding of animal migrations, their winter habits, and the precise timing for harvests and preservation. Diverse food acquisition techniques, ranging from elaborate trapping systems to ice fishing and tracking animals through deep snow, were not merely advantageous, but absolutely vital. Equally critical were sophisticated preservation methods, smoking, drying, freezing, and fermentation, which allowed for the creation of nutrient-dense, storable foods that could sustain entire communities through months of lean resource availability. These intricate foodways underscore the remarkable adaptability and profound ecological knowledge that were central to Native American resilience in the face of nature's harshest season. Hunting in winter, techniques and challenges winter, transformed the landscape into a formidable adversary. Yet it was also a canvas upon which the survival of Native American communities was etched through the arduous pursuit of game. Hunting, far from a mere pastime, became a critical, high-stakes endeavor, demanding unparalleled skill, endurance, and an intimate understanding of the natural world. The challenges were immense. Deep snow could impede movement for both hunter and prey, turning every step into a monumental effort. Ice made footing treacherous, risking injury and slowing pursuit. Animal migration patterns shifted dramatically with the seasons. Some species retreated to sheltered valleys, others moved to new foraging grounds, while still others, like the vast bison herds of the plains, might congregate in larger, more visible groups, their movements influenced by snow depth and available browse. Hunters had to adapt their strategies, sometimes following herds over vast distances, or anticipating their routes based on generations of inherited knowledge. Success hinged on meticulous observation and an encyclopedic understanding of animal behavior. Expert trackers could decipher a narrative in the snow, not just the species and direction, but the animal's speed, its health, and even its recent activities. Knowledge of where deer sought shelter from blizzards, where rabbits burrowed, or where grouse roosted in snowdrifts was indispensable. Specialized tools were honed for efficiency and lethality. Bows and arrows, often crafted from resilient woods and sinew, were precise instruments for dispatching larger game. Spears, sometimes tipped with flaked stone or bone, served for close-quarter kills, particularly when an animal was cornered or mired in deep snow. For smaller game, rabbits, squirrels, birds, traps and snares, strategically placed along well-traveled animal trails, provided a more consistent and less energy-intensive food source. Crucial when larger prey was scarce, communal hunts, while often associated with warmer months, were ingeniously adapted for winter conditions. On the Great Plains, bison drives, colossal undertakings requiring immense coordination, sometimes leverage deep snow. Bison, heavy-bodied and less mobile in thick drifts, could be driven towards natural corrals, over cliffs known as buffalo jumps, or into areas where the snow was so deep they became mired, making them easier targets for hunters. These large-scale endeavors not only provided vast quantities of meat, hides, and bone, but also reinforced communal bonds, with every member playing a vital role. The hunter's attributes were paramount: stealth to approach wary animals across a stark, often open winter landscape, immense endurance for long treks through deep snow, battling sub-zero temperatures, sometimes for days, and an unparalleled understanding of the landscape, knowing every ridge, every sheltered cove, every potential trap or advantage. Yet, the risks were ever present: hypothermia, frostbite, injury from falls on ice or from a wounded animal, and the constant threat of starvation if the hunt failed. The success of these winter hunts was not merely about sustenance, it was the very lifeline of the community. With stored provisions dwindling and other food sources buried beneath snow and ice, the hunters' skill, courage, and perseverance stood as the ultimate bulwark against the brutal grip of winter, ensuring the survival of their people until spring. Ice fishing and trapping, aquatic resources, as winter tightened its grip and traditional hunting grounds lay dormant under snow, access to vital protein became a formidable challenge. For communities nestled beside frozen lakes and rivers, however, an ingenious solution lay beneath the ice and within the snow-laden forests: ice fishing and trapping. These practices were not merely supplementary, they were often crucial for sustenance, providing essential nutrients that sustained life through the harshest months. The frozen surface, far from being an impassable barrier, transformed into a specialized hunting ground. Skilled practitioners, utilizing tools crafted from stone, bone, or antler, meticulously chipped and cut precise openings through the thick ice. Below, a world unseen awaited. Specialized lures, often carved from bone, shell, or polished stone, were skillfully manipulated to mimic prey, drawing fish to the openings. Some communities employed intricate netting techniques, deploying woven traps beneath the ice, while others, particularly adept spearfishers, would lie prone over the hole, patiently waiting for a passing shadow before striking with remarkable precision. This pursuit demanded not only patience, but also a profound understanding of the environment. Identifying safe ice, recognizing subtle changes in color, texture, and the resonant sounds it produced, was paramount to survival. Equally vital was discerning the most productive fishing grounds. An intricate knowledge of submerged topography, fish migration patterns, and their wintering habitats was passed down through generations. Beyond the ice, the frozen landscape yielded sustenance through expertly deployed trapping methods. Smaller mammals such as beaver, muskrat, and rabbits were invaluable. Beavers and muskrats, often found near ice-covered waterways, provided not only nutrient-rich meat, but also dense, insulating furs essential for clothing and warmth. Rabbits, though smaller, were abundant and a reliable source of protein. The ingenuity behind these trapping methods was truly remarkable. Traps, fashioned from wood, sinew, and natural fibers, were designed to be effective in sub-zero temperatures, often camouflaged meticulously with snow or branches. Deadfalls, snares, and specialized underwater traps for semi-aquatic animals were deployed with a deep understanding of animal behavior, their trails, feeding habits, and vulnerabilities. This demonstrated not just an instinct for survival, but an intricate ecological literacy, allowing them to harvest resources sustainably, even in the most unforgiving conditions, underscoring their profound adaptive genius in confronting the rigors of winter. Foraging and gathering, hidden winter stores. Even as the frigid grip of winter settled across the land, the practice of foraging and gathering, while significantly diminished from the abundance of warmer seasons, remained a vital, if challenging, aspect of Native American survival. Communities possessed an encyclopedic botanical knowledge, passed down through generations, allowing them to perceive the seemingly barren, snow-covered landscape not as empty, but as a carefully catalogued larder of dormant plant resources. With an uncanny understanding of their environment, they knew precisely where to locate and unearth hardy roots and starchy tubers, such as wild carrots, ground nuts, or sunchokes. often buried deep beneath frozen earth or insulating snowpack. The inner bark of certain trees, notably pine or birch, was carefully harvested, providing not only a fibrous emergency food source, but also essential nutrients. Even in the depths of winter, tenacious berries like cranberries or highbush cranberries could sometimes be found clinging to branches or preserved under a protective layer of snow, offering a rare, tangy burst of flavor and a crucial dose of vitamin C. Crucially, winter foraging wasn't solely about discovering fresh resources. It also involved meticulously accessing and utilizing provisions carefully prepared and stored from warmer seasons. Dried berries, preserved root vegetables, and pounded bark mixtures were painstakingly laid by, awaiting retrieval when other options dwindled. While these winter plant resources could never rival the bounty of summer and autumn, their significance was immeasurable. They served as indispensable sources of essential vitamins, minerals, and crucial dietary diversity, perfectly complementing the protein and fat-rich meat acquired through hunting. This sustained access to plant-based sustenance underscored an extraordinary level of foresight, meticulous planning, and an intimate, almost photographic memory of the landscape, allowing communities to return to specific, hidden caches or known patches of dormant plants, even under a thick blanket of snow. Preservation techniques, drying, smoking, catching. The ingenious survival strategies of Native American communities were profoundly rooted in their mastery of food preservation, techniques honed over millennia to conquer the harsh realities of winter. Central to this ingenuity was an array of sophisticated methods designed to transform seasonal bounty into life-sustaining provisions. Drying, perhaps the most fundamental technique, involved the meticulous removal of moisture, a critical step in inhibiting microbial growth and spoilage. Meat from bison, deer, or elk, and fish like salmon or cod were often cut into thin strips and sun-dried in arid regions, or more commonly, carefully suspended over slow-burning, smoky fires. This process not only dehydrated the food, but, when smoke was involved, infused it with compounds that further deterred decay and added a distinct flavor. Berries, such as cranberries and blueberries, were also spread out to dry, transforming perishable fruits into durable, nutrient-rich snacks. Smoking took preservation a step further. Beyond mere dehydration, the continuous exposure to smoke from specific woods imparted phenols, aldehydes, and other antimicrobial and antioxidant compounds. This chemical infusion created a protective barrier, significantly extending the shelf life of fish and game, allowing communities to store substantial quantities of protein for months on end. One of the most remarkable innovations was the creation of pemmican. This highly caloric and exceptionally durable food was a testament to both resourcefulness and a deep understanding of nutrition. It typically consisted of dried, pounded meat, often bison, mixed with rendered animal fat, tallow, and sometimes dried berries. The fat encapsulated the meat, creating an oxygen-deprived environment that prevented oxidation and spoilage, while also providing an incredibly energy-dense food source. A small amount of pemmican could sustain an individual for days, making it invaluable for winter travel, hunting expeditions, and as a vital emergency ration. Equally crucial was the practice of caching, strategically storing food to protect it from animals, elements, and spoilage. Communities utilized various methods tailored to their environment. Underground pits, often lined with bark, grass, or hides, provided stable temperatures and humidity, ideal for storing dried goods, tubers, and sometimes even fresh produce in the cold earth. Elevated platforms or scaffolds, constructed from timber, kept food well above ground, safe from rodents, insects, and ground moisture, particularly effective in forested or marshy areas. Specialized structures, from dedicated storage rooms within earth lodges to meticulously woven baskets and pottery, further optimized conditions for preservation. The science underpinning these methods was intuitive and profound. Drying reduced water activity, making it impossible for bacteria and fungi to thrive. Smoking introduced natural preservatives. Pemmican's fat content provided an anaerobic barrier and immense caloric density. Catching managed environmental factors like temperature and light, slowing enzymatic degradation. Together, these advanced techniques allowed Native American communities to transform seasonal surpluses, the abundance of autumn hunts and summer harvests, into substantial winter provisions, ensuring sustenance and survival through the leanest, most unforgiving months. The winter pantry, a diverse and balanced diet. The brutal grip of winter presented an unparalleled challenge to survival. Yet Native American communities met it with a remarkably sophisticated and diverse dietary strategy. Far from a meager existence, their winter diet was a testament to ingenuity, balancing stored provisions with fresh catches to provide the essential energy and warmth needed to endure extreme cold. The cornerstone of this winter sustenance was an impressive array of preserved foods. Dried meats, such as venison, bison, or elk, provided concentrated protein, while dried fish offered both protein and vital fats. Berries, carefully harvested and sun-dried, contributed essential vitamins and carbohydrates, preventing scurvy and other deficiency diseases. Perhaps the most celebrated example of this foresight was pemmican, a highly calorie-dense mixture of dried pounded meat, rendered fat, and sometimes dried berries. This superfood was a nutritional powerhouse, easily transportable and incredibly shelf-stable, offering sustained energy and crucial fats for insulation and warmth. Alongside these, caches of nuts and seeds supplied additional fats, proteins, and minerals, complementing the carbohydrate-rich dried goods. While stored provisions formed the crucial foundation, the diet was dynamically supplemented by fresh resources. Winter hunting, though arduous, yielded deer, rabbits, waterfowl, and other game, providing not only fresh meat, but also nutrient-rich organ meats, which were invaluable sources of micronutrients often scarce in preserved foods. Limited foraging, even in the depths of winter, might yield certain roots, inner barks, or evergreen needles, used for medicinal purposes or to supplement vitamin intake. This strategic combination of dried, preserved foods and fresh additions created a remarkably balanced diet. Proteins from meat and fish were crucial for muscle maintenance and satiety. Fats, particularly abundant in pemmican and fresh game, were paramount for generating body heat and providing sustained energy in sub-zero temperatures. Carbohydrates from dried berries and some foraged items offered quicker energy, while a broad spectrum of micronutrients, meticulously gathered throughout the year and conserved, ensured overall health and immunity. The creation of these meals was not accidental. It represented a profound inherited understanding of nutrition, long before modern science codified these principles. The precise methods of drying, smoking, and combining ingredients demonstrated an empirical knowledge of how to maximize caloric intake, preserve vital nutrients, and create palatable, nourishing food. This sophisticated approach allowed communities to not merely survive, but to maintain strength and vitality through the harshest months. Crucially, the acquisition and distribution of these vital food resources were often a communal endeavor. Successful hunts were shared, and stored provisions were collectively managed, ensuring that every member of the community, from the youngest to the oldest, had access to the sustenance necessary to brave the freezing winter. This communal sharing underscored a deep social fabric, where mutual support was as essential as the food itself for collective survival. Feasting and famine, managing scarcity while the ingenuity in shelter and clothing provided crucial defenses against the biting cold. The true arbiter of winter survival for many Native American communities was food. Harsh winters, particularly those extending beyond typical seasonal patterns, brought the stark realities of scarcity into sharp focus, transforming the ever-present threat of famine into an immediate and terrifying possibility. Entire communities faced the agonizing prospect of starvation, a challenge that demanded not only extraordinary resilience, but also meticulously developed strategies. To navigate these periods of extreme food shortage, communities implemented stringent rationing protocols. Every morsel became precious, and its distribution was often a communal decision, guided by long-standing traditions and the immediate needs of the group. Beyond the planned stores, indigenous knowledge of the land offered emergency lifelines. When conventional food sources dwindled, people turned to less palatable but vital emergency sustenance. The inner bark of certain trees, such as pine or birch, rich in cambium, could be scraped and consumed, providing a meager but essential source of carbohydrates. Specific roots, often buried deep and difficult to extract, were also known and utilized, their preparation demanding significant effort to render them digestible and safe. These were not preferred foods, but rather last resorts, a testament to the dire circumstances. Crucially, communal support systems formed the very bedrock of survival. The concept of individual hoarding was anathema. Resources were pooled and shared according to established social norms. Elders, often repositories of vital knowledge about emergency foods and survival techniques, were revered and cared for, their wisdom indispensable. Children, representing the future of the community, were also prioritized, often receiving a greater share of diminishing provisions. Cultural practices and social structures, deeply embedded with principles of reciprocity and collective welfare, ensured that the most vulnerable members, the very young, the elderly, and the infirm, were not left to perish, but were actively protected and sustained by the collective effort. This narrative of successful adaptation, however, must be balanced with the acknowledgement of the profound hardships faced. Starvation was a real and frequent visitor, and even with the most sophisticated strategies, many lives were lost. The constant vigilance required to monitor dwindling supplies, identify emergency provisions, and maintain social cohesion under immense stress speaks to an enduring struggle. Native American communities did not merely endure winter, they actively fought for survival, demonstrating an unparalleled understanding of their environment and a profound commitment to one another, all while living under the perpetual shadow of nature's unforgiving power. Ingenious inventions, tools for winter survival, the profound challenges posed by freezing winters spurred Native American communities across the continent to develop an extraordinary array of specialized tools and technologies. These were not mere rudimentary implements, but sophisticated solutions born from centuries of deep environmental understanding and practical necessity. Each innovation stands as a testament to unparalleled ingenuity and meticulous craftsmanship, integral to transforming an otherwise hostile landscape into a manageable and even thriving environment. For travel across vast, snow-laden territories, the snowshoe was a paramount invention. Far from a simple frame, snowshoes were meticulously designed, often tailored to specific snow conditions, ranging from compact models for crusty snow to broad web designs for deep powder, distributing weight efficiently and conserving energy. Similarly, the development of toboggans and sleds, crafted from lightweight wood and often lined with smooth rawhide or bone, revolutionized the transportation of game, supplies, and even individuals across frozen waterways and snow-covered terrain, minimizing friction and maximizing payload capacity. In the realm of hunting, specialized tools reflected an intimate knowledge of winter animal behavior. Ice chisels, often fashioned from antlers or durable wood, allowed access to frozen waterways for fishing, while expertly crafted snares and traps, set with precision, capitalized on animals' restricted movements and search for food during lean months. Specialized arrows and spears, tipped with bone or chert, were designed for optimal penetration through thick winter hides, ensuring efficient kills vital for sustenance and warmth. Beyond travel and hunting, these technologies underpinned daily survival. Tools for processing materials, from sharp bone scrapers used in preparing hides for clothing and shelter insulation, to adzes and wedges for splitting timber in sub-zero temperatures, demonstrated an advanced understanding of material science and thermal dynamics. The construction of durable winter shelters, whether subterranean lodges, insulated longhouses, or snow houses, relied on specialized tools for excavation, shaping, and assembly, turning natural elements into protective envelopes against the brutal cold. Collectively, these winter technologies underscore an enduring legacy of human adaptation, where intelligence, observation, and skillful hands forged the very means of survival. Snowshoes and skis. Conquering the snow, among the most ingenious and indispensable tools for navigating the frozen landscapes, were snowshoes, and in certain northern reaches, rudimentary skis. These deceptively simple inventions were born of necessity and refined over millennia, fundamentally reshaping the possibilities of winter survival and mobility. The design and construction of snowshoes were a testament to meticulous craftsmanship and an intimate understanding of natural materials. Frames were typically fashioned from flexible hardwoods like ash or hickory, carefully steamed and bent into the desired shape. This intricate process required skill and patience, often involving multiple stages of shaping and drying to ensure durability and structural integrity. Within these frames, intricate lacings of rawhide, from deer, moose, or caribou, were woven. This lacing, often gut or babiche, was not merely decorative but functional, providing the broad surface area necessary to distribute weight The tension and weave patterns were critical, allowing for both flexibility and firm support. A central toe hole and bindings, often of leather, secured the foot, enabling a natural gait. The physics behind the snowshoe's efficacy is elegantly straightforward. By dramatically increasing the surface area of the foot, the pressure exerted upon the snow is significantly reduced. Instead of sinking deep with each step, the wearer's weight is distributed over a much larger footprint, allowing them to effectively float atop the snow's surface. This principle was adapted through various designs, each tailored to specific environmental demands. The compact bare paw design, nearly round or oval, offered exceptional maneuverability in dense forests and deep, powdery snow, common in regions like the Northeast. Its shorter length prevented entanglement with underbrush. Conversely, the elongated teardrop or Ojibwe style, with a pointed toe and rounded heel, provided a versatile balance of flotation and ease of stride, suitable for general travel across varied snow conditions. For open terrain and long-distance travel, particularly in the subarctic regions where expansive plains and more consolidated snow were common, the long trail or Algonquin snowshoe emerged. These were considerably longer and narrower, designed for efficient, swift progression over vast distances, often following established trails. Beyond snowshoes, in the extreme northern reaches, some indigenous groups developed primitive skis. While less widespread than snowshoes, these early skis, often simple wooden planks, served a similar purpose of weight distribution for faster travel over packed snow and ice. They represent another facet of human ingenuity in adapting to the harshest winter conditions. The impact of these inventions was nothing short of revolutionary. Snowshoes transformed winter from a season of confinement and scarcity into one of opportunity. They enabled hunters to pursue large game such as moose and caribou, which, when bogged down in deep snow, became more accessible. Trappers could set and check extensive trap lines, essential for fur acquisition and trade. Communication between communities, vital for social cohesion and resource sharing, was maintained, preventing isolation. In essence, snowshoes and skis were not merely tools. They were critical enablers of survival, trade, and cultural continuity, allowing Native American peoples to not just endure, but thrive in the face of nature's most formidable challenge. Sleds and toboggans. Winter transportations. Winter's icy grip tightened across the vast northern landscapes. The ability to traverse snow-laden terrains became not merely convenient, but absolutely essential for survival. Indigenous peoples developed sophisticated solutions for winter transportation, chief among them being sleds and toboggans. These ingenious vehicles were indispensable for moving goods, transporting harvested game, and even relocating entire communities across vast distances. The designs varied significantly, tailored to specific needs and environments. Simple toboggans, often crafted from a single piece of bent wood like birch or ash, featured a curved front that glided smoothly over snow, minimizing resistance. These unrunned sleds were typically pulled by human power, ideal for hauling firewood, personal belongings, or smaller game over relatively flat or undulating terrain. Their flexible construction allowed them to conform to uneven surfaces without breaking. More complex designs emerged for heavier loads and longer journeys, epitomized by the iconic dog sleds of the Arctic, such as the Inuit kamutik. These sophisticated conveyances employed a platform mounted on runners. The runners themselves were often crafted from bent wood, sometimes laminated for strength, or even made from bone or frozen moss, offering unparalleled durability and glide. Cross slats connected the runners, forming a flexible platform that was then secured with intricate rawhide lashings. This lashing technique was crucial. It allowed the sled to flex and absorb shocks from uneven ice and snow, preventing rigid joints from snapping in extreme cold. Materials like caribou rawhide, strong hardwoods, and even whalebone were meticulously selected for their specific properties: durability, flexibility, and resistance to cold. These sleds and toboggans revolutionized winter logistics. They transformed the arduous task of moving heavy loads into an efficient operation, enabling the transport of large game like moose or caribou back to camp, often over many miles. They were fundamental to the seasonal relocation of camps, allowing communities to follow game migrations or access new resources. Furthermore, the constant need for firewood in freezing temperatures made these vehicles indispensable for gathering and hauling substantial quantities from distant forests. The capacity to move significant weight across otherwise impassable snow-covered distances was a cornerstone of winter survival strategies. Their effective use also demanded a high degree of cooperative effort. Large hauls often involved multiple individuals or teams, requiring coordinated movement and shared knowledge. Furthermore, skilled drivers and handlers possessed an intimate understanding of their sleds, their animal teams, and critically, the terrain itself, navigating treacherous ice, identifying safe routes through deep snow, and anticipating shifts in weather required profound knowledge passed down through generations. An understanding that ensured both efficiency and safety in the unforgiving winter wilderness. Hunting and fishing tools. Specialized winter gear survival in the relentless grip of winter demanded more than mere resilience. It necessitated a profound understanding of the environment and the development of specialized tools. For hunting and fishing in icebound landscapes, indigenous communities engineered remarkable instruments. Ice chisels and picks, often meticulously crafted from durable stone like chert or basalt, or from robust bone and antler, were essential for penetrating thick ice sheets. These implements were typically hafted to sturdy wooden handles, secured with sinew or rawhide lashing designed to maintain integrity despite extreme temperature fluctuations and percussive force. Their precise construction allowed for the creation of vital fishing holes or breathing openings for seals, demonstrating an intimate knowledge of material properties under stress. For harvesting from these icy apertures, specialized spears were indispensable. Barbed spears, often featuring points of bone or antler, and three-pronged lysters were designed for both ice fishing and the opportunistic hunting of seals at their breathing holes. The shafts, carefully selected hardwoods, provided the necessary reach and rigidity, while the points were engineered for maximum penetration and secure hold, sometimes even featuring detachable heads tethered to the shaft for easier retrieval of game. Beyond direct hunting, winter foraging for smaller game relied heavily on an array of ingenious traps and snares. Deadfalls, constructed from logs and stones, were set along animal trails, their trigger mechanisms carefully balanced to function reliably even when coated in frost. Snares, fashioned from strong plant fibers or sinew, were discreetly placed to capture small mammals like rabbits and hares, or ground-dwelling birds such as ptarmigan. The effectiveness of these devices was a testament to a deep understanding of animal behavior, predicting their movement patterns, feeding habits, and vulnerabilities in the scarce winter months. Projectile weapons also saw crucial adaptations for the cold. Bows and arrows, or the more ancient atlatl and dart system, were fine-tuned for sub-zero performance. Bows, whether simple self-bows or more complex composite designs, were often constructed from woods chosen for their flexibility in cold or reinforced with sinew and horn to prevent brittleness. Bowstrings, typically made from animal sinew, were meticulously prepared and sometimes treated with animal fats to maintain pliability and strength. Arrows and darts featured shafts carefully straightened and seasoned to resist warping, often fletched with feathers from local birds, which remained effective even when iced. Arrowheads and dart points, chipped from flint or obsidian, or carved from bone, were designed for optimal penetration through thick winter hides and dense fur. Every aspect of these tools, from material selection to construction technique, reflected a sophisticated engineering approach, ensuring reliability and efficacy in the most challenging of conditions. Undefined. Shelter building tools, axes, scrapers, awls. The construction and maintenance of resilient winter shelters demanded a sophisticated array of tools, each meticulously designed for specific tasks. Central to many timber frame structures were axes, fundamental for felling trees and processing wood into manageable components. Early iterations comprised hafted stone heads, expertly flaked for cutting edges, or robust bone tools. With the advent of trade and later, limited metalworking, iron axes became highly prized, significantly enhancing efficiency in timber preparation for frameworks and fuel. For dwellings requiring hide coverings, such as the iconic tipi or other insulated structures, scrapers were indispensable. Fashioned from bone, antler, or sharpened stone, these tools were crucial for meticulously removing flesh, fat, and hair from animal hides, then softening them to create pliable, durable, and weather-resistant material. Following this preparation, awls and needles, typically crafted from bone or antler, became vital. Awls were used to puncture precise holes in thick hides or bark sheets. through which sinew or plant fibers could be threaded by fine needles, allowing for the strong, airtight stitching necessary to assemble coverings and create insulated layers. For communities constructing subterranean or semi-subterranean dwellings, such as earth lodges or pit houses, specialized excavation tools were paramount. Simple yet effective shovels and digging sticks, fashioned from sturdy wood or bone, allowed for the painstaking excavation of earth, creating the foundational depressions that offered superior insulation against the bitter cold. In the Arctic, a unique and highly specialized tool emerged, the snow knife. Carved from bone, antler, or occasionally tough wood, these elongated blades were essential for precisely cutting and shaping compacted snow blocks, enabling the rapid and efficient construction of igloos. HLC, testament to ingenious adaptation to an extreme environment. What becomes clear is that even seemingly rudimentary tools were not merely functional, but were products of profound precision and a deep ancestral knowledge of materials. The selection of specific stone for its flaking properties, the careful shaping of bone for optimal leverage, or the precise curvature of an antler scraper, all reflected an intricate understanding passed down through generations. This mastery of toolcraft was not just about survival, it was the very foundation upon which complex winter construction became not only possible, but remarkably effective. The strength of kinship, social structures for survival. While ingenious material technologies and sophisticated ecological knowledge were undoubtedly foundational to Native American winter survival, the narrative remains incomplete without acknowledging the equally crucial role played by social structures and communal bonds. Indeed, the very fabric of individual existence was often interwoven with the health and prosperity of the collective. A single person's ability to withstand the harshest blizzards or periods of scarcity was frequently contingent upon the robust support network provided by their community. Kinship systems, deeply ingrained in nearly all Native American societies, served as the primary scaffolding for this communal resilience. Extended families and clan structures were not merely genealogical frameworks. They were dynamic networks of obligation and mutual aid. Within these systems, resources, knowledge, and labor were systematically shared. Tribal organization, with its established leadership and decision-making protocols, further streamlined the complex logistics of winter preparation and crisis management. Leaders often played a critical role in coordinating communal hunts, storing provisions, and arbitrating disputes, ensuring that collective efforts remained cohesive and effective. Beyond formal structures, a profound set of social norms and ethical codes underpinned this collective survival. Principles of reciprocity, generosity, and communal responsibility were not abstract ideals but practical imperatives. The sharing of food, particularly during lean times, was not simply an act of charity, but a fundamental expectation, often governed by intricate protocols that ensured equitable distribution and prevented any single household from succumbing to want while others prospered. This ethos fostered an environment where individual needs were balanced against the greater good, strengthening the bonds of trust and solidarity essential for enduring protracted periods of hardship. Thus, while ingenuity in crafting tools and shelter was indispensable, it was the profound strength of social cohesion, the intricate dance of kinship, and the unwavering commitment to collective well-being that truly enabled Native American communities to navigate the unforgiving grip of winter, underscoring that in the face of nature's formidable challenges, community was, for many, the ultimate technology for survival. Sharing and cooperation. Collective resilience. At the heart of Native American winter survival lay an intricate web of sharing and cooperation, a system born of both necessity and deeply held cultural values. Facing the stark realities of freezing, temperatures, scarce resources, and the inherent unpredictability of the natural world, individual success was often insufficient. Instead, communities understood that collective resilience was the most potent defense against winter's relentless threats. Food, fuel, and the very structures that offered sanctuary were frequently communal resources, their distribution and management guided by principles designed to ensure the well-being of all. especially during periods of extreme scarcity. These cooperative systems were underpinned by powerful cultural imperatives, reciprocity and generosity. These were not mere altruistic gestures, but deeply ingrained survival strategies that fostered mutual interdependence. The expectation of reciprocity, that today's help would be reciprocated in kind tomorrow, created a robust social safety net, while the practice of generosity ensured that no family or individual was left to face the biting cold, hunger, or exposure alone. This communal ethic was a practical guarantee against isolation and abandonment, forging bonds that were vital when resources dwindled and hardships mounted. Examples of this collective spirit abound across diverse Native American cultures. Communal hunting, such as the vast buffalo drives of the Plains tribes or the organized deer surrounds in woodland areas, maximized the yield of critical protein and fat reserves, far beyond what any single hunter could achieve. The bounty from such endeavors was then meticulously distributed according to established protocols, often prioritizing the elderly, the very young, and those unable to hunt. Similarly, the gathering of essential resources like firewood, medicinal plants, and construction materials was a shared undertaking, pooling labor and knowledge to secure provisions on a scale necessary for community-wide sustenance. Shelter, too, often embodied this communal ethos. Multi-family longhouses of the Iroquois, or the large insulated winter lodges found in other regions, were constructed through collective effort, utilizing pooled labor and resources to create robust shared dwellings. These structures not only offered superior warmth and protection from the elements, but also fostered a sense of shared responsibility and community intimacy throughout the long, dark months. Within these spaces, warmth from shared fires and the communal preparation of meals further reinforced the interdependent nature of their existence. Ultimately, this profound commitment to collective resilience mitigated the inherent risks of individual failure. If one hunter returned empty-handed, the community still ate. If one family's stores ran low, others contributed. This comprehensive support system strengthened the entire community, transforming individual vulnerabilities into collective strengths. The ethical underpinnings of caring for one's kin and neighbors were inextricably linked with the practical necessity of survival. For Native American peoples, the true strength of the community and its ability to withstand winter's harshest trials lay in the unwavering commitment of its members to share, support, and uplift one another. Elders and knowledge keepers, passing down, wisdom central to the enduring survival of Native American communities through the harshest of winters was the invaluable role of elders and knowledge keepers. These revered individuals served as the living repositories of wisdom, meticulously gathering and transmitting vital survival knowledge across countless generations. Their methods of education were deeply embedded in the fabric of daily life, relying primarily on oral traditions, intricate storytelling, and direct hands-on instruction. Far from mere entertainment, these narratives were sophisticated pedagogical tools, encoding critical information about the environment, resource management, and social protocols essential for winter's challenges. Elders possessed an encyclopedic understanding of their territories, an intimate knowledge cultivated over decades of observation and experience. They could interpret subtle shifts in weather patterns, predicting impending blizzards or thaws with remarkable accuracy. Their expertise extended to the intricate behaviors of animals, knowing their migration routes, hibernation patterns, and prime hunting locations, ensuring access to vital protein. Furthermore, they held detailed knowledge of plant locations, identifying dormant roots, barks, and berries that could provide sustenance or medicinal properties when other resources were scarce. The crafting of specialized tools, from snowshoes to ice fishing implements, was another domain where their direct instruction was paramount, ensuring the skills and techniques were perfectly replicated and passed down. Beyond the practical, elders also maintained and taught the spiritual practices and ceremonies that fostered community cohesion, resilience, and a profound respect for the natural world, understanding that spiritual well-being was inextricably linked to physical survival. Their status within the community was one of profound respect and authority. Their wisdom actively sought and diligently followed. This continuous intergenerational learning was not merely about preservation. It was a dynamic process where strategies were constantly refined and adapted to changing environmental conditions, ensuring optimal effectiveness. The unbroken chain of knowledge, passed from elder to youth through patient mentorship and lived experience, stood as the cornerstone of long-term resilience, enabling Native American peoples to not only endure, but thrive amidst the most formidable winter landscapes. Winter ceremonies and storytelling, spiritual sustenance. Beyond the ingenious shelters and sophisticated food preservation techniques, Native American survival through the brutal winter months hinged critically on a profound understanding of human psychology and the cultivation of spiritual and cultural resilience. When the landscape lay dormant under a blanket of snow and the days grew short and dark, the true battle was often against isolation, fear, and the gnawing anxieties of scarcity. It was during these challenging times that winter ceremonies, rituals, and the ancient art of storytelling emerged as indispensable pillars of emotional and psychological sustenance. These practices were not merely recreational, they were vital mechanisms for strengthening community bonds, reaffirming deep-seated cultural values, and maintaining an unbroken connection with the spiritual world. Gathered within the warmth of communal spaces, families and clans engaged in shared experiences that meticulously wove the social fabric tighter. Storytelling, in particular, transcended mere entertainment, serving as a powerful pedagogical tool. These winter narratives, often told only during the cold season, transported listeners to ancient times, recounting creation myths, ancestral journeys, and the exploits of heroic figures or wily tricksters. For the Anishinaabe, or Ojibwe people, for instance, the Adizuka'anagas, sacred stories or legends, featuring characters like Nanabojo, offered profound moral lessons, practical survival strategies, and instilled a deep reverence for the interconnectedness of all life. They taught patience, resourcefulness, respect for elders, and the consequences of hubris, all critical virtues for navigating harsh environments. Ceremonies, too, played a crucial role in countering the psychological weight of winter. The Hopi people's soil. Winter solstice ceremony, for example, marked the shortest day of the year, a pivotal moment for an agricultural society. This elaborate ritual involving prayers, purification, and symbolic gestures was a profound act of collective hope, dedicated to turning the sun back and ensuring its return for the coming planting season. Such ceremonies provided a tangible sense of purpose, reminding individuals of their place within the cosmic order and their collective responsibility to maintain balance. The rhythmic drumming, chanting, and shared meals fostered a powerful sense of belonging, transforming potential despair into a reaffirmation of life's cyclical nature and the promise of renewal. These cultural expressions offered more than just hope and a sense of purpose. They provided crucial entertainment and distraction from the relentless hardship. The laughter shared during a humorous tale, the awe inspired by a sacred narrative, or the focused participation in a ceremonial dance, all served to break the monotony and alleviate the psychological strain of confinement and limited resources. They were active engagements that fostered mental agility and emotional fortitude. By sharing these experiences, communities reinforced their shared identity, passed down generations of accumulated wisdom on survival and resilience, and celebrated their unique relationship with the natural world. In doing so, these spiritual and cultural practices were not just about enduring winter, they were about thriving through it, ensuring the holistic well-being and continuity of the people. Health and well-being. Traditional medicine in winter, beyond the immediate need for shelter and sustenance. Winter presented a formidable challenge to health and well-being for Native American communities. The prolonged exposure to cold, damp conditions, often compounded by close quarters within winter dwellings, fostered an environment ripe for specific ailments. Respiratory infections, coughs, colds, and more severe lung ailments were common, their spread facilitated by proximity. Frostbite was a constant threat to exposed extremities, capable of causing severe damage, while hypothermia, a perilous drop in core body temperature, could prove fatal without swift intervention. Native American understanding of these illnesses often transcended mere physical symptoms. While recognizing environmental factors, many traditions viewed sickness as a manifestation of imbalance, perhaps a disharmony with nature, a spiritual transgression, or the influence of malevolent forces. This perspective underscored a holistic approach to health, where the physical, mental, and spiritual were inextricably linked. To address these multifaceted threats, indigenous peoples developed sophisticated systems of traditional medicine, deeply rooted in centuries of ecological observation and spiritual wisdom. A vast pharmacopoeia of medicinal plants was central to their healing practices. Knowledge of local flora and fauna for therapeutic purposes was meticulously observed, practiced, and passed down through oral traditions from generation to generation. Barks, roots, leaves, and berries were prepared in myriad ways, as teas and infusions for internal consumption, as poultices for topical application, or as balms and salves. For instance, willow bark, rich in compounds akin to modern aspirin, was widely used for pain relief and fever reduction, while various conifer resins served as antiseptic salves for wounds and frostbite. Echinacea, or purple coneflower, was often employed to boost immunity and combat infections. Beyond botanical remedies, healing extended to powerful communal and spiritual practices. The sweat lodge, a sacred structure often central to winter survival, provided not only physical warmth and detoxification through steam, but also a profound spiritual cleansing and opportunity for prayer, vital for both prevention and recovery. Poultices of crushed herbs, clays, or even animal fats were applied directly to afflictions, designed to draw out infection, reduce inflammation, or soothe pain. Spiritual healers, often referred to as medicine people or shamans, played a critical role, guiding ceremonies, offering prayers and songs, and performing rituals aimed at restoring balance and addressing the spiritual roots of illness. This integrated approach, recognizing that true health emerged from harmony between the individual, the community, and the spiritual world, was fundamental to their resilience against winter's harshest trials. Mental fortitude. Overcoming winter's psychological toll, beyond the physical demands of shelter and sustenance, winter presented an equally formidable, though often invisible, adversary: the psychological strain of prolonged cold. Days shortened, landscapes became stark and uniform, and communities, while together, could feel intensely isolated from the wider world by impassable snows. The relentless grip of cold, coupled with the monotony of indoor life and the repetitive nature of daily tasks, bred potential for anxiety and cabin fever. Fear of scarcity, that vital stores might diminish before the spring thaw, was a constant, chilling undercurrent, threatening to erode morale and individual resolve. Yet, Native American cultures developed sophisticated strategies not just for physical endurance, but for cultivating profound mental fortitude. Communal life was a powerful antidote to isolation and despondency. Winter became a period for intensive crafting, repairing tools, weaving, and extensive storytelling. These shared activities were not merely productive. They reinforced social bonds, fostered a sense of collective purpose, and provided opportunities for intergenerational learning and interaction, preventing the corrosive effects of solitude. Humor played a critical role in diffusing tension and maintaining lightness. Trickster tales, shared jokes, and light-hearted banter provided essential psychological release, reminding individuals of their shared humanity and the enduring spirit of their people. Similarly, traditional games, from intricate dice games and guessing contests played by firelight to outdoor snow snake games when conditions allowed, were more than mere pastimes. They stimulated minds, encouraged friendly competition, and offered vital distractions from the harsh realities outside, fostering a spirit of resilience and joy. Central to mental well-being were deeply ingrained spiritual beliefs. A profound connection to the sacred provided a framework for understanding the world, including the cycles of winter. Ceremonies, prayers, and rituals offered solace, expressed gratitude, and reaffirmed communal identity and hope for renewal. These practices instilled a sense of purpose and belonging, reminding individuals that they were part of a larger, meaningful existence, transcending immediate hardship. This spiritual connection extended to the land itself. Winter was not merely a period of adversity, but a sacred time for rest, reflection, and preparation for spring's rebirth. Individuals found strength in their integral role within the community, understanding that their contributions, no matter how small, were vital to the collective survival. This deep sense of purpose, coupled with an intimate knowledge of their environment, fostered a pragmatic optimism and an acceptance of natural cycles. Ultimately, the ability of Native American communities to navigate the psychological rigors of winter stands as a testament to their holistic adaptive strategies. Mental strength, fostered through communal support, cultural practices, spiritual grounding, and a profound connection to their world, proved as indispensable for survival as any physical preparation. It underscored a comprehensive approach where psychological resilience was not merely a byproduct, but a fundamental pillar of enduring through the coldest months. Umakshans Inuit and Yupik, masters of the ice world in the unforgiving expanse of the Arctic and subarctic, where winter reigns supreme for much of the year, the Inuit and Yupik peoples forged a survival strategy unparalleled in its ingenuity and resilience. Confronting a treeless, ice-dominated landscape, their very existence was inextricably linked to the bounty of the sea, demonstrating an unparalleled mastery of extreme cold environments. Their reliance on marine mammals was absolute and comprehensive. Seals, whales, and walruses provided not only sustenance, but also the essential resources for warmth, light, and shelter. Blubber, a rich source of calories, also fueled kudliks, stone lamps that provided crucial light and heat within their homes, allowing for extended periods of activity during the long polar nights. Hides were meticulously prepared for multi-layered clothing, offering exceptional insulation against sub-zero temperatures, and for constructing coverings for their unique dwellings and vessels. Bones and ivory were fashioned into tools, weapons, and structural elements. Acquiring these vital resources demanded profound ecological knowledge and specialized hunting techniques. During the depths of winter, when the sea ice solidified, seal hunting often involved a patient, solitary vigil at breathing holes known as aglas. Hunters, often with the aid of trained dogs, would detect the faint exhalations of seals, then wait, poised with a harpoon, for the precise moment to strike. For larger game, such as whales, communities collaborated, utilizing robust umiaks, large, open skin boats, to pursue these colossal marine mammals, a testament to collective effort and courage. Their specialized tools, finely honed over millennia, reflected their environment. The harpoon, with its detachable head and retrieving line, was central to marine hunting. The agile kayak, a marvel of design constructed from driftwood or bone frames covered with seal skin, allowed for swift, silent pursuit of prey on open water. Protection from the relentless cold necessitated remarkable architectural innovation. The iconic igloo, or snow house, was not merely a temporary shelter, but a highly efficient dwelling. Constructed from carefully cut snow blocks, its dome shape distributed weight evenly, while the snow itself provided excellent insulation. A raised sleeping platform and a cold trap entrance further minimized heat loss, creating an interior significantly warmer than the ambient air. In some regions, particularly where snow was less consistent or for more permanent settlements, sod houses or karmaks offered robust protection. Built from whalebone or driftwood frames covered with layers of sod and earth, these structures provided exceptional thermal mass and insulation against the biting winds. This profound adaptation extended beyond mere survival. It was a holistic integration with their environment. The Inuit and Yupik peoples demonstrated an unparalleled understanding of ice dynamics, animal behavior, and material science, allowing them to thrive in a landscape that challenged all others. Their resilience, born from deep ecological knowledge and an ingenious spirit, stands as a powerful testament to human adaptability in the face of nature's most extreme conditions. DNA, Athabascan, forest and tundra strategies across the vast, unforgiving expanse of the subarctic, where temperatures plummet to extreme lows and the landscape is dominated by dense boreal forests and expansive tundra. The Dean-speaking peoples, including groups like the Gwich'in, Dogrib, and Chipewyan, developed an intricate tapestry of winter survival strategies. Their existence was intrinsically linked to a semi-nomadic lifestyle, a necessity dictated by the movements of the caribou herds, which served as their primary sustenance. Following these migrations, along with other large game such as moose, allowed them to remain within reach of vital food sources, even as the seasons turned harsh. Their temporary winter encampments featured shelters expertly adapted to the frigid conditions. Conical teepees, often smaller and more steeply pitched than those found on the plains, or simple lean-tos, formed the core of their dwellings. These structures were meticulously crafted from sturdy poles, then covered with durable caribou or moose hides, or, where hides were scarce, with tightly woven spruce boughs. A critical element of their insulation strategy involved banking the exterior with snow, creating an additional, highly effective thermal barrier against the biting winds and intense cold. Inside, a central fire provided warmth, and smoke vents at the apex allowed for ventilation. Winter travel and hunting were facilitated by ingenious technologies. Snowshoes, crafted from wood and sinew, were indispensable for traversing deep, soft snow, distributing weight evenly and allowing for efficient movement across challenging terrain. For transporting game, firewood, and supplies, toboggans, long flat sleds pulled by humans or dogs, were essential, gliding smoothly over the snowpack, where wheeled vehicles would be impractical. These tools were not merely conveniences, they were critical enablers of their hunting and migratory patterns. The Dean diet during winter was diverse and resourceful, a testament to their comprehensive understanding of the ecosystem. Caribou and moose provided not only meat for sustenance, but also fat, hides for clothing and shelter, and bones for tools. From the ice-covered lakes and rivers, they expertly fished, cutting holes through thick ice to access vital protein. Cached berries, gathered and preserved during the warmer months, offered essential vitamins and minerals, helping to prevent nutritional deficiencies. Furthermore, their intimate knowledge of the boreal forest and tundra ecosystems enabled them to trap and snare smaller game, such as rabbits, ptarmigan, and various fur-bearers, providing supplementary food and crucial pelts for warm clothing, bedding, and trade. This profound ecological understanding, coupled with their adaptive technologies and resourcefulness, allowed the Dean to not only survive but thrive in one of the planet's most challenging environments. Iroquois Confederacy, enduring the forest, winter in the frigid expanse of the northeastern woodlands. The Iroquois Confederacy, a powerful alliance including the Mohawk, Seneca, and Oneida nations, developed an intricate tapestry of adaptations to survive the unforgiving winter months. At the core of their winter strategy was the longhouse, a marvel of communal architecture that served as a permanent, multi-family dwelling. Constructed from sturdy timber frames covered with sheets of elm bark, these elongated structures could stretch for hundreds of feet, housing multiple related families under a single roof. Within, a central aisle featured a series of hearths, shared by families occupying adjacent compartments. Smoke from these fires, vital for warmth and cooking, escaped through carefully designed openings in the roof, creating a surprisingly efficient and communal heating system that allowed residents to weather the bitter cold together. Their sophisticated agricultural practices formed the bedrock of their winter sustenance. The three sisters, corn, beans, and squash, were not merely cultivated, but harvested with meticulous foresight. After drying and processing, these vital provisions were stored in ingeniously designed subterranean caches. These deep, often lined pits, carefully concealed and insulated, protected the valuable harvest from freezing temperatures, moisture, and pests, ensuring a reliable food supply throughout the long, lean winter. While stored provisions were paramount, winter hunting remained a crucial activity to supplement their diet with protein. Iroquois hunters, intimately familiar with the forest, employed strategic tracking techniques to pursue deer, moose, and other forest game. A pivotal innovation in winter travel was the snowshoe. These broad, latticed frames, worn on the feet, distributed weight over a larger area, allowing hunters to traverse deep snowdrifts with remarkable efficiency, often gaining a significant advantage over animals struggling in the heavy snow. Beyond material provisions, the Iroquois fostered robust social structures and a rich ceremonial life that provided profound emotional and spiritual sustenance through the cold months. Gatherings within the warmth of the longhouse reinforced kinship ties, shared responsibilities, and communal identity. Winter ceremonies, often focused on renewal, storytelling, and expressions of gratitude, served to uplift spirits, strengthen community bonds, and maintain cultural continuity amidst the challenges of the season. This intricate balance of settled agricultural foresight, Ingenious architectural design, adaptable hunting strategies, and resilient social and spiritual practices allowed the Iroquois Confederacy to not only endure, but to thrive amidst the formidable winters of the northeastern woodlands. Algonquian tribes, coastal and inland adaptations across the vast, often snow-covered expanse of the northeastern woodlands and Great Lakes region. Diverse Algonquian-speaking tribes, including the Wampanoag, Ojibwe, and Cree, developed remarkably sophisticated and regionally specific winter survival strategies. Their ingenuity was rooted in a profound understanding of their local ecosystems and an adaptive approach to shelter, sustenance, and resource management. Central to their winter resilience were their expertly constructed dwellings. In the southern reaches, tribes like the Wampanoag utilized wigwams, dome-shaped or oval structures built from a framework of flexible saplings, typically bent and tied together to form a sturdy skeleton. This frame was then meticulously covered with overlapping layers of bark, such as birch or elm, or woven cattail and reed mats, creating an effective barrier against the biting cold and snow. Further north, among the Ojibwe and Cree, conical lodges, often resembling teepees, but with a more permanent bark-covered construction, were common. These shelters were designed with a central fire pit, allowing smoke to vent through an opening at the apex, while the interior was often lined with insulating animal hides, maintaining a surprising warmth even in sub-zero temperatures. Their subsistence during these harsh months was a masterful combination of stored provisions and active, strategic hunting and gathering. Prior to winter's arrival, communities meticulously dried and smoked meats and fish, processed and stored nuts, berries, and, where cultivated, corn. These vital reserves provided a critical baseline. However, winter was also a time for focused hunting. Deer, moose, and bear were primary targets, pursued by skilled hunters, often using snowshoes to traverse deep snow, their knowledge of animal behavior paramount. Trapping smaller game, like beaver, rabbit, and marten, provided both essential protein and valuable furs for warmth. Ice fishing was another indispensable activity. Holes were cut into frozen lakes and rivers, and various techniques, from spearing to angling with bone hooks and lures, yielded a steady supply of fish. As late winter gave way to early spring, a particularly vital energy source emerged: maple sugaring. When the days warmed above freezing and nights remained cold, the sap began to flow in the maple trees. Tribes would tap the trees, collect the sap in birch bark containers, and then boil it down over fires, often for days, to produce syrup and hard sugar cakes. This concentrated source of carbohydrates was not only a much-needed boost of energy after months of lean winter diets, but also a significant cultural and social event, marking the promise of renewed life. The precise application of these strategies varied considerably across the vast Algonquian territories, showcasing their incredible flexibility. Coastal communities, like some Wampanoag groups, might rely more heavily on stored seafood and coastal hunting, while deep forest hunters, such as the Cree, were expert at tracking large game over vast, snowy expanses and extensively utilized snowshoes and toboggans for travel and transport. Great Lakes tribes like the Ojibwe excelled in both forest hunting and extensive ice fishing on the region's vast frozen waters, supplementing their diet with stored wild rice. This regional adaptation, coupled with a profound, generational knowledge of their local flora and fauna, allowed Algonquian-speaking peoples to not merely endure, but to thrive in some of North America's most challenging winter environments. Lakota and Cheyenne. Winter on the open prairies for the nomadic plains tribes, such as the Lakota and Cheyenne. The relentless grip of winter on the vast, snow-swept prairies presented an existential challenge. Their survival hinged almost entirely on the American bison, a creature whose immense bulk provided an astonishing array of resources essential for enduring the harshest months. Every part of the bison was meticulously utilized. Its rich, fatty meat was the primary food source, often preserved as pemmican, a concentrated mixture of dried meat, rendered fat, and sometimes berries, providing vital calories and sustenance when fresh game was scarce. The thick, durable hides were indispensable. Expertly tanned, they formed the covering for their iconic teepees and were fashioned into layers of exceptionally warm clothing, blankets, and robes that offered crucial insulation against bitter winds and sub-zero temperatures. Bones were crafted into tools and implements, while sinew provided strong thread and binding material. Their portable teepees, far from being primitive structures, were ingeniously adapted for extreme cold. Constructed with an inner liner, often made of tanned hides, these dwellings created an insulating air pocket between the liner and the outer cover, effectively trapping heat. Careful fire management within the teepee's central hearth, coupled with adjustable smoke flaps at the apex, ensured efficient ventilation while maximizing warmth. As winter approached, these tribes would strategically relocate their camps from the exposed plains to more sheltered environments. Deep river valleys, coulees, or densely wooded areas offered crucial protection from the biting winds and provided a degree of natural insulation. Here, in these more forgiving landscapes, they would establish their winter encampments, often remaining in place for several months. Hunting bison in deep snow required immense skill and cooperation. While the snow could impede the bison's movement, it also made stalking and maneuvering challenging for hunters. Their masterful horsemanship, combined with precise communal hunting practices, became paramount. Groups of skilled hunters would work in concert, often using the snow to their advantage to drive bison into drifts or ambushes, ensuring a successful harvest that would feed the entire community. This collective effort, coupled with their inherent mobility and deep understanding of the unforgiving prairie environment, was not merely a strategy for survival. It was a testament to their profound adaptation and resilience in the face of nature's most formidable season. Mandan, Hidatsa, Arikara, Earth Lodge villages, in the harsh realities of the upper Missouri River Basin, where winter temperatures plummeted and blizzards swept across the open plains. Sedentary agricultural tribes such as the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara developed sophisticated and unique adaptations for survival. Central to their enduring presence were their substantial earth lodges, architectural marvels meticulously engineered to withstand the extreme cold. These permanent dwellings, often reaching 40 to 60 feet in diameter, were constructed from a robust framework of cottonwood logs, layered with willow branches, grass, and an incredibly thick insulating mantle of earth. This design created a remarkably stable internal temperature, providing a warm, sheltered haven for extended families throughout the frigid months. The cornerstone of their winter sustenance was their highly productive agricultural system. During the warmer seasons, vast fields of corn, beans, and squash were diligently cultivated. The harvested bounty was not merely consumed, it was systematically dried and stored in subterranean cache pits, bell-shaped, expertly lined, and sealed chambers dug beneath or near their lodges. These ingenious underground pantries protected thousands of bushels of food from freezing, pests, and spoilage, ensuring a reliable food supply even when the land was blanketed in snow. While stored provisions formed the dietary backbone, these resourceful communities also supplemented their meals with strategic winter hunting. Bison, deer, and other game were pursued, often by groups of hunters venturing from the villages, providing crucial protein and fats. Furthermore, the frozen rivers and lakes offered another vital resource: ice fishing. Through holes cut into the thick ice, an array of fish could be caught, adding diversity to their winter diet. Beyond mere shelter and sustenance, the very fabric of their society provided immense resilience. Their large, fortified villages, sometimes housing thousands of people, fostered a profound sense of security and social cohesion. Within these communal hubs, knowledge was shared, labor was divided, and mutual support systems ensured that no individual or family faced the brutal winter in isolation. This sedentary, communal approach provided a stark contrast to the more nomadic plains tribes, who relied on mobility and following the bison herds to navigate the seasons. For the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara, their permanent villages and sophisticated agricultural infrastructure were not just homes, but vital fortresses against the unforgiving winter. Haida and Tlingit, coastal abundance. Winter challenges along the rugged coastlines and deep fjords of the Pacific Northwest. Peoples such as the Haida and Tlingit flourished amidst an environment renowned for its natural abundance. Yet, even in this rich landscape, winter presented a formidable challenge, demanding sophisticated strategies for survival. Their response was a testament to ingenuity, communal strength, and a profound connection to their environment.